Welcome back to the channel, guys. Self Educated Economist here. So today I'm going to follow up on a video I did a couple of days ago, and I was talking about the NASDAQ priced in Bitcoin and how it has performed in the last 10 years or so. So now we're looking at it from a weekly perspective, and I think it gives us just a little bit more accuracy of when the highs were, etc., and how big these moves were. But it's not huge. It's just kind of a little bit more accuracy. So again, to go over this chart here, the candles represent the NASDAQ priced in Bitcoin. As you can see, it's stuck in a downward trajectory and is getting less worse as we move towards the future, or into, sorry, not the future, but to present time. And here you can see the price of Bitcoin going up, and this price of Bitcoin here, the maroon line, is Bitcoin priced in US dollars. So as you can see back here, this was the top of Bitcoin back in the 2013 cycle. Then Bitcoin, so this green line represents the top of Bitcoin, the all-time high. And then from here represents a 1-year bear market in Bitcoin, which shows a big bounce of the NASDAQ versus Bitcoin. As you can see, it bounced 768%, and that took 59 weeks approximately, 413 days, about a year, a little bit more than a year for that first one. The following one, and then as you could see, once Bitcoin bottoms out, you could see here the Bitcoin's kind of moving sideways with a slightly upward bias, if you will. The NASDAQ is moving sideways as well relative to Bitcoin. And then once Bitcoin really starts going, then the NASDAQ continues into that bear trend versus Bitcoin until it bottoms out. Bitcoin hits an all-time high, and then it enters another bear market. This time lasts 52 bars, which is 52 weeks, approximately 1 year. And the NASDAQ rallied 510% versus Bitcoin. Then Bitcoin entered another rally, which was a little bit different than the previous one. It wasn't smooth, just up, 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 up. You had ups and downs. You had here the Corona dump in this region over here. So the NASDAQ kind of rallied at some points versus Bitcoin, but it mostly kind of moved sideways with a bias towards the downside. But then pretty much here, once October of 2020, even a little bit earlier, really, the NASDAQ really started to bleed versus Bitcoin. As you can remember, if you were around during that cycle, Bitcoin had a double top. And when the NASDAQ rallied, once Bitcoin dropped off, Bitcoin rallied against it, or the NASDAQ dropped versus Bitcoin, and it pretty much had a double bottom there. Then Bitcoin entered its bear market that lasted, about 52. This one says 53 weeks, but it's about 1 year, and the NASDAQ rallied 228% versus Bitcoin. And that leads us to the present day, which, as you could see pretty much from that top, has been actually a lot smoother in this way. Not only has it been smoother in the way Bitcoin has gone up in this recent bull run, this recent cycle, it's been like this stair stepping up. It's like stair steps up, consolidates, goes up, consolidates, goes up, consolidates, goes up a little bit, consolidates, and then it drops. Right. So as you can see, the NASDAQ pretty much has like an opposite relationship, right? Versus Bitcoin in this case, it really does the opposite of what it's doing. So they don't really rally together. Really, they do the exact opposite. So that's very interesting to me. So as you can see here, and I mean that's going to be more obvious because the NASDAQ here is priced in Bitcoin, so that's no surprise to see here. But you could see the NASDAQ has rallied 54% versus Bitcoin, and if you base it off of the previous bear markets in Bitcoin where the NASDAQ rallies versus Bitcoin, I don't think we're going to see such a big drop or a further drop in Bitcoin, because you could see this one was not quite like this one was 75% of this one, if you will. This one was about half of this one. So can we say that this most recent bear market in Bitcoin, or the rally of the NASDAQ versus Bitcoin in this bear market for Bitcoin, will be maybe half of this one? So maybe it could get up to 0.37, something like that, 0.36. But I don't really see it rallying much more than that. and I'm being very generous with that. I mean, I could see Bitcoin getting down to the very easily, and I think it will get down to the 200 simple week moving average, which right now I'm not gonna pull up the chart right now, but it's sitting around like 70K more or less. And I could see Bitcoin getting to that moving average sometime next year, but I don't really see it getting much lower than that. Maybe it could get down to 60,000, maybe even the high 50,000s, but that's about it. So this kind of gives us an idea of what the bear market's going to look like for Bitcoin. And I just really see it really not really being very interesting. Like do see obviously Bitcoin dropping off a little bit more, but it's going to be more of this sideways boring action. And we should see it last about a year, and it should end sometime in October 2026. So usually from the top of the Bitcoin all-time high to the end of the bear market for Bitcoin lasts about a year from all-time high to the bottom. So if you're enjoying the content, you're liking these videos, drop a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care. Bye.